Disclaimer. The information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
Or is the ultimate target of all this work is to be able to understand, to make the fields of the soul of the man. At the strength of his work, we have replicated to show the energies of the matter. The ultimate goal is to be able to replicate and produce the energy, the spectrum of the fields of the universe. And one of them be the strength of the field, which lead us to the Creator. This is the work, this is what we are targeting for. And this is not just to show we made elements, it's not to show we managed to make a gas. It's a stepping stone towards the ultimate goal, to create that ultimate field which makes us, and that process allows us in that position, create a condition for us to board the line, jump on the line, connect with the line through our soul to the dimension and direction of the soul of the Creator. But we are learning step by step. We are learning gradually. We came in with nothing. We came in with a stick in our hand in the caves. We didn't even know what a fire was, that we understand the energy conversion. We learned step by step about the metals. We mastered them, we alloyed them, we made chemicals. We became nuclear physicists. Now we become plasma physicists, and then we become creator physicists. How do we find a line to our Creator? And then with that, we become the ultimate goal. We become what all the creation is about, to become that parcel of the creation. When you look at the magnetic field of the Earth, it starts from the North Pole and it turns back to the South, as you've seen in many. That Earth is the Creator, is the center. And those fields show the way you can get to the center of it and become part of it, create this atmosphere, create this dimension of creation, interaction with others. And this is all the ultimate goal, to be able to jump on one of those fields, that in rotation and movement in the direction of what we call attraction, we become part of, we touch the soul of our Creator within when we go through it. When a magnetic field goes through the Earth, touches what's inside in the center, absorbs energies from it. And as we know, the North Pole of the Sun or the Earth is always slightly warmer than the South, because it's gathered energy, it's gathered magnetic fields from the center. And somehow it's become part of it. And this is the whole subject, this is the whole principle of the teaching. the ultimate goal. Would it come to the point that we can create fields that the interaction of their fields the interaction of field of our soul puts us on that path, that we become in that part of the hemisphere, we become that part of the atmosphere, and rotating, we create the dimension of manifestation of the existence of the Creator. Now you understand what it means. I am the beginning, I'm the end. I'm the creator, and I'm created from the creation of my own. Now, what's the ultimate goal? How do we make that system? To make what, if you go back to the teaching of this, some months and years ago, I told you many times, make ganses of ganses. That the interaction of the ganses allows you to create that field which leads at the strength, if you get it right at a certain position, the strength of the field to get on that line of the loop of the fields of the Creator. How closer you get in or further you are is the strength you absorbed. And then the closer you become, the more enlightened you become, the more you have to give. The fields of the earth 50 kilometers are cold, and the fields which are near, in interaction with the field of other and the inertia, creates life, condition of life, condition of existence, manifestation, creation. And this is all it is. We are somewhere 500,000 kilometers away from the center. And we are trying to jump in frog leg and come into this inner circles to be able to get close enough to earth, close enough to the soul of the Creator, that we manifest, we show the creation and the Creator through His creation. Now you understand. And in the coming time, in the coming days and months and weeks, we endeavor to make that system. We are working on it. We are working on making a system that creates the fields of the Creator, the ultimate goal. And then in the interaction with the soul of the man, becomes the will of the man. I am in command through the interaction of the field of my soul to create what my wish is in a dimension of the wishes of Mitra. We are all servant to her and nothing else. And through serving her, we serve the Creator and nothing else. And Mitra is not the creation, is not the entity. It's the principle of interaction of the fields of the universe. It's a path of living. It's the way you interact to lead to creation of the perfection. Now you understand. All this teaching, all this going from gases to this and that and the Maghreb system and the rest, has been to bring you gradually to the position to be able to create the fields of the creation. Then you become the beginning and you become the end. Depends where you jump into the circle, on the North Pole as it comes out, or on the South Pole as it goes in. But that pole is your soul. That pole is the soul and connection of you with the Creator. Every soul, in the essence of its creation, at the point of its manifestation, has the field line common denominator with the source. There is none, no life, there is no soul, there is no existence in the universe which has no direct connection to the soul of the Creator. Now is our job to find that, to find the strength of, to create, to build systems within ourselves, outside. Man is genius in building machines to replicate and create that field, that single field that in coming in touch with, in connecting to, we get enlightened. And then we see the whole knowledge of the creation. And we become part of the Creator that itself is created out of His own creation. It's very much, if you read the book 1, is the story of the creation, interaction of the field, which leads to mass and to weight out of interaction of their own by their own. Now where are we going and how we reach this? We have shown in the position and the power creation of some 30, 40 elements and organic elements in the past few weeks. Keshe Foundation, in collaboration with the Chinese military, now endeavors into the next step in the coming days. We endeavor to create a new condition. We endeavor to show the existence, how actually it starts, and where can we enter the fields, and then where can we exit the fields. For you to get from North Pole to the South Pole, if you're lucky and you're on a rocket, or you can drive and swim and everything else, takes you a few weeks to get from the North Pole to the South Pole, or at least a few days. But the fields of the Earth from north to the south is instantaneous. Now we are interacting with the field of the Earth. What about the fields of the universe, which already interact with the field of the Earth, and we jump on them? And then what about the fields of the unicos, which interacts with us within the structure of our universe, if we get on them? And then we know all these fields comes from the fields existence of the Creator. What about if we jump on that? It's not impossibility, it's the lack of knowledge. It's not that it's in the dream, it's the reality that we have not understood the principle. And now we are sitting in that direction and dimension. In the coming days and weeks, we will show a new dimension, a new structure, a new way to think, to interact, to feed. I walk within the fields of the system and I receive what I need as medicine, as food, as energy, as the interaction fields to interact with the Creator. We are entering a new dimension in science and technology. We are entering into a dimension that we can put a blind near the system and he walks out, that he can see the whole creation, not only the physicality of the man and earth. And how we will develop this position and condition where you can bring a man blind and walk him out, that he can not only see himself with the eye of the man, but opens the eye of the soul of the man to the world of the creation. It's an unknown science, but we have two choices. We can drag you along in bits and bits, or literally drown you in it. And I think drowning the man will be better because he will learn to swim than dragging it that hope he'll one day get to the water. The understanding of the science, the understanding of the technology, the understanding of the knowledge of creation is at the reach of every man. It doesn't need any prophet or any holy book. It needs clarity of understanding. It needs the being in a position to accept, to see, to analyze, and then not to judge. As I always said, repeated most of the time, when you came to this, we said we are not there to judge. We accept what you see, what you see. Some saw the mermaid, and some saw and felt the soul of the Christ. Some went on the moon and touched the stone. And some came to see nothing, came blind and went out blind. The arrogance brings blindness. The servitude brings wisdom, understanding. And that comes through the soul. That comes through the interaction of the fields. In talking to man, man has seen and has to see everything in the dimension of physicality. In talking to the wise man, he understands the wisdom of the creation and sees the fields.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 618th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, November 27th, 2025. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name's Rick Crammon, and I'll be your host once again in this weekly series of eternal workshops. And once again, we have the presence of Mr. Mehran Keshe as our main presenter here, as usual. And I believe he is, as usual, raring to go. Hello, Mr. Keshe.
Hello, thank you very much. Good morning, good day to you. As usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers from Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. We welcome you back, and as usual, we have something up our sleeves. And in today's session, as part of the back support, we are testing with you something totally new. We are, without you knowing, or as part of our work, interacting with the central energy of your body, what you call your soul. And as we interact, it's just like as you stir a cup full of water, and as the water comes out, you pour it into, and you play with it, how it's going to be dripping or squeaking out or whatever. Then we're playing with your physical side. The session is done in two halves, in two different ways. And the reason we do this is in the past few weeks and months, we brought in to strengthen the plasma of the central energy and its behavior towards physicality. Today, there is no such a thing. Today, now, I feel the knowledge seekers, and this will stay in the part of the teachings for centuries to come. You're ready to what I call play and shake, or shake and play with. What we are doing, those of you who are with this, we are in the Zoom sessions and most of it in the YouTube and others, should feel, because we are playing with directly with central energy. We gave you enough time to grow. We gave you enough time to understand how to transmute. And now today we are pushing you. In a way, we are stirring the cup of your soul, central energy. And with it, we are sending a direct message, instruction, how to do. In the first part is a different emotion, and the second part is totally different emotion, rather unbalanced. I would like to know how you feel. You can write your emotions during the sessions, in the chats or whatever, or let us know in the future. This system is what will be that your emotions, your soul conveys out in the dimension of physicality to another object in space, which means your emotion feels in the dimension of the soul, and then it converts back into the what we call physicality of the soul, or physicality of the man, to manifest itself in emotion. And we would like to know what it creates. In a way, we are working with a dimension of work which is unknown to man, never been done. And we literally haven't disconnected you from, but we are topping up as you receive the fields, you're shaking it, and in a way, we are dripping it out. But once it comes out, we control it. In a way, I put all the water in the balloon, I shake the balloon, I decide what comes out of the balloon as I squeeze it, and then when it comes out, I decide what I'm going to do with that liquid. I'm going to squeeze it on the floor, somewhere else in the air, or freeze it. So for the first time, we are playing, we are working with the dimension of both, and we are actually interacting with both. This is important for us, as I'll explain in the next couple of weeks. The structure is very simple. As we heard, actually, this is what we just heard in the intro, is some 200 teachings past, and if you listen to it, is as valid as today's teaching. In a way, what it says, and we've gone over this before, as we go into the dimension of the fields of the universe, you have to be aware what comes to you is loaded with what. On this planet, we are used to thousands of different channels of information coming to us on television, radio, mobile phones, which you don't hear any of it selectively. If we have a mobile phone, a system in our hand, we can hear the one which is targeted at us. Your telephone number gives the position where you are, and somebody calls us, Matt, where you are, your phone rings, it doesn't ring your next door neighbor, or if you have 10 phones in your hand, any of the other. And your soul is exactly that mobile phone. It receives energy. It receives continuous information from right across the universe. But which one is yours? And which one will affect you? Which one is there for you to be connected to, or you've been connected to be part of? In a way, you carry a receiver, mobile phone, which you call the soul. Tapped, open into the dimension of the information of the universe, and it's you who has to learn where to dial it to. You dial the mother, you dial the boyfriend, you dial the hospital, and you get there. In the universal language, in understanding the science of the creation, you have that in your brain. It's a receiver, and you decide where to dial. With what we do with you today, we dictate the dialing number. It's a understanding of who we want to tune to, who we want to be near to, and who we want to transmute to. I want to talk to you, but I don't want to see you. Just because I'm talking to you does not mean I want to be near you. I don't need to transmute, but I can transfer my emotion to you on the line, on the information of the soul, and the dimension of the links of the universal line of communication. But I want to speak to myself while I'm talking to you, to tell my arm to move. I want to have a fear, and I want to have a laughter, but it's two sides. One, while I don't want to be, I'm talking to the grandma who died 100 years ago through the dimension of the fields. I've called her without my physical side to know. In a way, as I explained before, it's like you having a mobile phone in your hand, talking to someone across the planet, and at the same time, you are making faces and talking and doing with somebody else, with your child, with your wife, with your husband, whatever, because the other side doesn't have the camera and it cannot see as you're talking as normal. You're having a lunch physically, but you're talking to someone across the planet. This is what your soul, your communication line of universal line, and what we call the soul of physicality and the emotion is. And today, that's what we are testing. We are putting you on a dial number from universe, converting into the dimension of the physicality, and we want to see how you react emotionally. And this become an imprint into the work of the man. If any of you get this right, if any of you switches to this line, by around 19th, 20th of December, you know what we've done with you. There is a reason we do this test today. We repeat it in different dimension next week. We are opening the dimension of you recognizing transmutation, communication, transportation, and everything in together. A situation could arise in the next 3 weeks, around just before Christmas, that some of you might connect to this line, might hear this line, might have the emotion of understanding the line of universal communication. Depends on how in the next 2 or 3 weeks we make you ready for it. Those who are panelists, they can see our lines are open on the line. It's already we're transmitting this information through. We already have set up for you to understand what is the emotion of the soul and what is the emotion of physicality and what you're going to do with it. Does it bring you joy? Has it brought you happiness? Has it brought you to understand? Has it connected you how you're feeling now at the moment? At the same time, can you feel connection to the grandma who died 10 years ago, or your mom in another part of the world, and at the same time you're here? Do you need a mobile phone? The session today is for us to see how much we can shake your soul from our side, and to see how you physically react. Because once it comes, as I said to you many times, the plasma is a DC. When it goes through its boundary, it becomes AC. Today we are playing with both of them for you. This is why our systems are on. And we never done this. We always had the support of the what we call different structure as energy. Now we are not dealing with energy, because your energy is already part of this, and it's already settled. In a way, if one looks at it, if you go back, if you remember the circles which I used to draw as a way of the plasma, we always drew gravity, we drew magnetical, and then we did other things with it. But interpret the same fields in a different dimension and direction. What does this mean? It is interesting for you to see this, to understand this, and be able to play with this. Why this is important, why this will bring a lot of new dimensions to our work, is, if you remember, I always drew for all of you that you could understand that the plasma, we have problem again as usual. The plasma had, where can I get this done? Okay, I'll go somewhere else. We always drew the plasma for you this way. Let's say This is the plasma of the fields of your soul. If you look at it, same parallel to is plasma of your solar physicality in all strength. In understanding and operating, in being able to work with this, then you understand this one is the fields of your soul, and this one is the field of your soul of physicality and physicality. And what sits between the two is your emotion. But the interesting part is that the energy fields of the soul at all points are equal, are in contact, are in balancing fields with the soul of physicality. And this is what will become part of the structure of life. In a way, at the point of birth, when we are infant in the womb of the mother, the soul of physicality takes its own dimension and direction, which means that the soul of physicality brings with itself a dimension of being collection of energies in the form of cells, the initial cells, the egg and the sperm. And in trying to connect to each other, it creates the first seed of the soul of the man. But at the same time, in connecting together to hold on together, it creates an outside boundary field. This is the boundary of what I can hold, which this energy in that point becomes the soul of physicality, and the boundary becomes the physicality of the man. In a combination of the three forces, if you add a condition to the plasma of the soul, which is created in the center, dimension of physicality. But the soul is connecting each one energies to be centralized, where each one has its own energy to confirm its own existence, which is a combination of the four soul of physicality. And how these two interact with each other, with the fields of the environment, lead to creation of the skin, the outer boundaries of the system. And if man understands how he has the capability to understand, as I've said many times before, to bring the soul of physicality inside, feel the strength of the soul of the man, you have no boundaries, no containment. This is the difference between the man and a star. Stars have no dimension of physicality because it's plasma. There's no container in it. Where in the body of the man, we have moved the soul of the physicality in the outer boundary of the soul of the man, that it hand position, it gives us a dimension of physicality. This is what we are. This is what we see. This goes back to the teachings of many, many years ago, that I explained very clearly that how you, if you move the soul of the physicality inside the soul of the man, you can transmute, you become energy field, you're the sun. And if you keep the soul confined within the soul of physicality with dimension, okay, you get man, you get containment, you get planet, you get a different type of manifestation. In a way, if you go through book 1 to book 3 in a very simple way, you will start from book 1 and you end up in transition with book 2, and you manifest yourself as a son in book 3. And if you become the son and ray back out in transition with the environment, you become the man. Physicality. This is where we call the emotion plays in. On the right, you're a plasma. There you brought the soul of physicality, dimensional fields of the matter state as a physical condition within the field forces of the creation. You're a star, you're a plasma. In the other one, you confine the soul, the central energy, in a pot. You call the head of the man. And then in the interaction of this with its dimension of the energy we call soul of physicality, you create the physicality. You need, this is why you die. This is why man dies. The only reason man dies and cannot come back into them, because this energy, central energy, soul of physicality, moves out of control. The soul of the man, that energy is released. And in so many ways, this is the whole purpose of creation. We are that cycle that where we nourish, we grow that soul, we call it the central energy. And when it time to come, the time of physical death, the physical separation, where the energies of the soul within is stronger than what it contains it breaks through and becomes a sun. And somewhere in the universe become the seed, and in that point of the seed, it starts the cycle of becoming a bigger seed, a bigger plasma, a sun, and then with it create another cycle of life when it slows down. What's on the screen is the same, the soul of the creator and the man, and in one direction, as the energies of the field of the creator radiates, and then it becomes on the material state, man manifests itself, but the sun, which is the soul of the creator, goes within. I made man in the image of myself, not its physicality, in a dimension of me, as soul of me inside the man. Not its physicality. God doesn't have 2 legs, 20 ears, and the rest of it. But in essence, it brings back in the dimension of the control, dimension of understanding this process of creation. And then if you understand this in simple language, then you understand what this picture means, which is the essence of the creation for all of us. If you look at it in other language, if I can't bring the two pictures together, one goes, I have to. If you look at it, if I can bring the two pictures in one dimension, then I can show you, try to see. We know the sun is on the other side. What we get is this will go to here, and the other one comes to here. In a way, we become aware of our own existence. We carry the soul of physicality. We carry the understanding of the totality. But how we share this totality and we stay aware of its work, its existence, its dimensions of the operation, then we become the matter to energy of the plasma, and some of these rays of plasma becomes to be the center of us. That in the interaction of this dimension of environment gives us the combination and conformation of the matter state, the existence life. And as I said, here you're book 1. Here, to go there, you're book 2. And here you exist in book 3. When these 3 books are written, and as your knowledge goes more in depth, you understand it covers the whole process of from creator to man, from man to his soul, from man's soul to creation of his children and the rest of it. Then you understand we are the children of the creator, and we create children, that they become children of children. And as is said in the holy books, I created you to make children that they may love me, which means love. I need to give that through loving me, I confirm my existence. I made me to love me. That by loving me, I confirm I exist. I'm here to be able to create. I create my own children to love me. Isn't this what man does? Why do we create children? We can show our love that we have created you. By their loving us, we confirm that I deserve to be loved. I'm alive. Isn't this why we have lovers? Where we love by giving love, we get the love back to confirm we exist. We don't love just to love because we will love to love. We love for the lover to love us back to confirm, yes, I have a value, I have existence, I exist. And in a way, we become the creator. I need the confirmation of existence. If you knowledge seekers understand this, and understand how to play with the fields and how to play with the emotion of the fields, you can transmute. And this is the process we have set up in the background today. The whole structure of the teaching today is not the talk, is what we are doing with you in the background. In how we are tweaking with the energies and how we are tweaking with the what I call energies in the motion of the interaction, what we call the emotion. And then we play, you play with the dimension of physicality. In so many ways, you as knowledge seekers today are deciding about yourself. And what we are doing is just that you don't remember you have your money in your pocket, we're just throwing it out and we are showing it to you. And we're creating condition that you feel that giving, you feel what your soul gives to your physicality. We have set the structure today that we don't play with the plasma fields. We play with the process of creation. which is totally different thing. As I said before, in the last few weeks, you have the ocean. If you create that pressure on it, you see the waves. It can be on the wind up the shore, or it can be a tsunami and destroying everything else, and the hurricane that it takes inside and outside altogether. This phase of teaching, this phase of process, is something which we started a few weeks ago in our all even laboratories. That gradually we move to the real position of the matter and energy, and at the same time as we define energy, magnetic field in motion, we decide what we cut in it. Are we cutting a smaller slice or a bigger slice? Are we throwing this slice in the air, or are we swishing around? It's a slice sitting there. Till I don't give it to you, hand it over to you, or I throw it at you, or I throw it in the garden, or whatever, it has no difference. Has no meaning, because once you receive it, it's food to you. Once you receive it, it's love to you. Once you receive it, that slice is the emotion that it brings life back to you to confirm your existence. And the two go together. And this is what, as knowledge seekers, you have to understand. We talked about the fields, communication with the universe, and the field directly to the creator. And in this process, you have both. The way we set up things for you today, any of your wishes to reach the soul of the creator, you shall be there. It's you who have to decide. In the second part, after the break, we change the system. In a way, we become lower, and then we see how you feel. Today, at this section, is balance, but with elevation of the time, elevation of the field forces in a sequential manner. In the second part, we change. You feel the difference. Then you have to make a decision. Then you know, I want to be back, or I don't want to be back. I feel safe, I feel happy. Or there is something else I feel inside me, emotions that I cannot explain in a physical dimension. Today's session is not playing with the fields. Today's session is playing with forces. We usually used to put sessions once a month to do this, but we got to the point that this cannot be done. It needs to change the humanity. It needs to come across that we interact with all of you. You got to realize mankind lives a dual life. One in the dimension of energy, and one in the dimension of physicality. And because he could not understand the dimension of the energy, you have called it a dream. But it's as real as is your physicality. You have run into the position of limitation of the strength of the fields of magnetic fields, that the light is the ultimate speed. You're blocked. You have blocked yourself. You accept the fallacies. But as you understand today, there is no limitation. And the higher order you exchange, the what I call higher strength brings you higher intelligence, understanding, because you see more of. You move into the center of that, you see everything. Try to listen to the teaching of this morning a few times. It's extremely heavy, but it's the beginning and the change. And every time you listen to it, see how you feel emotionally, how you feel physically, how do you feel something inside me moves, wants to become to dimension of transmutation, but I don't know how to control it. Or can I create the image of myself that I can see, but that can go where I want and I cannot stay? If you manage to get to this point in the session today, first part or the second part, and you can understand it, you can understand the process, you are entering the dimension of transmutation in a way connection to the universal energies. These will be tested not by us, but those who are here round about what we call Christmas time. Those of you who understand the process of today, then you understand why we have chosen this process today. In a way, we are preparing the soul of the man and a man for what is to come. Does not need sight, does not need visual confirmation, is what comes as confirmation within, as the energies of the universe moves, not the physicality of the man. And as you are humans, we had to work with the dimension of your physical absorption of the energy that you can convert. In a way, we are whispering in your ear without you to be able to hear. Is that dog whistle. You remember, you whistle in a way that no man can hear, but the dogs respond. Today you're in that stage, recording upon the soul of the man. And we see how the dog jumps, as the man has not heard. Would your soul move? Would your soul bring a new dimension of physicality? And would it bring the change we want to do? World peace, one planet, one nation, one race. This is the purpose of today. There are no gases as energy as you have connected those before. Now is the time. The car is built. Now we're testing it. The creation of the man is the accumulation of the two field forces. One of the soul of physicality and one of the soul of the man. Depends which one is of the higher strength which goes within, decides the manifestation of the other. To be manifested as a soul or to be manifested as a physicality. And you have that chance. You've been trained, you've been taught, and for you to be able to do. Man does not need machinery to convert, to transmute. We make it because you feel good with it. We reduce the pressures off, that we open a cap of the energy that the soul can become. Now it's time to do. You don't have much time with it to do, but I hope you do. And those of you who understand to do it, you'll come up with the stories that those who could not, what they say is a fairy tale. Mental Institute is a good place for you because you talk something we cannot see. It's the story of the beautiful people. We go for a break, we come back, and our team in the background will change the sequence. Try to remember what you felt today in the morning in the first session, and then try to remember what is compared to what it was before the break. And let us know. In a way, we are tweaking it. We got to see how you're twisting it. Break, if you take us for a break and we come back.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Well, let me get my screen up here and take over again. I can't believe the first part of the show's gone by. That's the fastest it's ever gone by for me out of the 618 shows, and very strange. Anyway, yes, we will have a break here in our 618th Knowledge Seekers Workshop, and be back with the second half. There will be an opportunity to ask questions of Mr. Keshe, and I'll remind our attendees here in the Zoom that you can raise your virtual hands. There's a function for that, and then we can open your microphone so that you can speak. You can also put questions into the Q&A or webinar chat, or into the chat in YouTube as well. All right. Back shortly.
The new Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit. A plasma space technology to prepare humanity for transportation and transmutation in deep space. Essential processes are embedded to prevent mutations and psychosomatic conditions during deep space travel. This new system is designed to support upper body conditions, especially of the lungs and intestines, and can be targeted specifically for each organ. When inside the Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit, the body experiences balance in totality, enabling it to correct and rebalance all the fields within itself. The new Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a dimension in health and transportation never seen before.
All right, we are back again at the 618th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, November 27th. And we have some interesting comments regarding this idea of a change in our perception of time warp that might have occurred in the first part of the program. So interesting. Mr. Keshe, how would you like to progress here? You usually have a a few things to say before we get into the Q&A part, so please go ahead.
Thank you very much for being there. As usual, you're busy in many fronts, and part of the decision we made some time ago that we do not go, what do you call it, public, but we try to keep the work of the foundation very tight. Then it has allowed us to work very closely, very tightly, but successfully with it in so many ways. As part of the work of the Keshe Foundation, we are looking, some of you have already responded to us, we are looking at it, the possibilities that to bring your work, we are not looking if you're working from home, you make answers. If you structure the company and use Keshe technology as part of what you produce, or you have PICs integrated into other things, to bring you into the part of the full structure of the Keshe Foundation. And gradually, as we are moving in that direction and increasing it, you start seeing a new range of products from different parts of the world on the Keshe Foundation, what we call site. And at the same time, as these organizations become part of the Keshe Foundation, carry the KF logo authorization, which means we have started a full structure of the what we call work across this planet. And you will see gradually this year, or what we call next year, a lot of products will appear in your places, and some of your products you are creator of appear on the website of other people who are again part of the same structure of the KF. So we are trying to integrate, and you make 2 or 3 products, and that's not good enough to make a living good enough for you, because that's the purpose you do it. Those of you who become part of the KF logo, what they call band from now on, you carry other people's products. So in a way, you become as much as part of the whole structure. This is important for us as part of what we are doing as introduction of the Keshe coin. You trade with each other, and we guarantee the payments from what we call Keshe Foundation, that what is done through and between our different companies and the structures is guaranteed by us in the way of the line of payments. And gradually we expand this into all our manufacturing. And as I said, the new structure which is setting up and more or less is on the way, we pay wages by cash coin. You can hold it. Your currency in your country drops or gets strengthened. You don't want to lose money. Today was so much and tomorrow less, but you hold to the amount which stays in the international level. You use us for guarantee for your livelihood, for your work, and the trading between different Keshe Foundation and different Keshe Foundation organizations. This process already started. We have to build it slowly. As I said last time, the store is getting set up, ready for it, and different part of applications are set up. As I said, we are interested if you're sending a company, set a company, you're building materials, you're making systems, and you're stuck with what is there because that's your scope. Once you become part of the KF in this structure, which has already started, you are structured and you carry more products, more facilities to research, and you become part of the structure of the bigger family. We don't touch what you do. We just give you that opportunity that you carry the possibility, and we give you, if you're doing something unique, room to research and to develop. And you can take things across from each other, with each other, through to the process of what I call commercialization as one structure, payment as one structure, and security in knowing that you don't have to worry about when and I have a limited income and from what I do. Now, the internet is huge, and no, not everybody goes to the Keshe Foundation website, but you collected, you have worked, you have made a network, and you work with it, you produce some products, but it's not enough for you to become sustainable. You tap into the Keshe Foundation as part of, or you take stock from other Keshe Foundations, and we guarantee the process of the payment through a cross. You trade inside us with Cashcoin, and we transfer the funds according to Cashcoin to each other, if you chose so. And this is a process we started, and the first companies are just lining and joining in. The ones who are outside China will go through Market Corporation of United States. The ones who are in China go through our structure, which is set up in China and works that way. And we allow both sides to work. So when you become part of the Market Corporation, when you become part of us, when we bring you in as one, you become part of the structure of the what we call an international organization. Yeah, we are answerable. Everything has to be correct, and this is the process which we have started a few weeks ago, and now is in its first step has already started. We are bringing the first companies outside and inside separately, China and outside through Market Corporation, and signing agreements, and you're becoming part of the process in coming weeks and months. That you become part of. You carry the logo of the Keshe Foundation as what we call Market Corporation Structured Licensing. And this will bring you a lot of different opportunities that, as some of you are the resellers of the Keshe Foundation, you know you have, you take the stock from the foundation. Now you get the stock from the whole of the manufacturing of the Keshe Foundation worldwide. Goods manufactured in Qingdao as much as manufactured in Brazil, all become part of yours. And we have started restructuring this. And the first groups of companies are there. And we are looking, as I said, not for you to be, just if you're a reseller, you just make something to sell, join the reseller. But if you've done research, you set up a company and you actually produce products, we are prepared to take you into the international market. We come in and we monitor, we support, and as we are doing now, we give you the freedom. But at the same time, at the moment, we are taking those who've done some things special, and we bring them into our research structure. I'll explain this more as things takes over. And write to us. If you're a reseller, join our reseller structure. But our resellers, as it comes up, as you will see in the next few weeks and months, your portfolio of the products will go sky high, because anyone who becomes part of our Chinese section or becomes part of Market, your stock, what you make, is available to the others who are selling on their website. Because they're part of the same structure. And this gives you a massive opportunity for you to grow. Plus what the Keshe Foundation will develop as the agents, as the manufacturing and as retailer, you become part of the bigger structure, in a way, bigger turnover and bigger structure to research. If you've done the research, you develop the technology and you don't know where to go, which is part of our technology we look at, we are prepared to support you to develop it further as part of the Keshe Foundation, as part of the structure into Market Corporation of the United States. In China, you go through the Keshe Foundation China, which is set up, and most of the Chinese knowledge seekers know who we are, where we are. And if you set up and structure a company and working in these kind of things, and you develop something, but still selling a little bit here and there, we look at it. If it's viable for us, we bring you in, and we have already started this. You become part of the massive structure, which starts in 2026. We had some work to set up. And in a way, you like to, you become part of. You have to understand something, as I explained to the knowledge seeker in the past few days. Don't look that I have to give large or equal amount of my company to the, what you call, macro or a Chinese structure. Today I make maybe 500, 1,000, if that's the purpose, because you're working to make a living. In this structure, you make 5,000, 10,000, 20,000. Even though you have 50% partnership with the foundation or 70% partnership, depends on how it's set. So if you're doing this and you want to go step up and you've done a lot of work, but you wanted to commercialize it, we are there. The opportunity has risen there. The situation has been created, and everything will be traded amongst the knowledge seekers as a cash coin. And we exchange, we accept currencies on the other end. This is what we're going to set up, and what is now gradually internally gives this position. And I was talking to one of the world leading ambassadors last night. He called me very late. And he said, Mehran, what can we do? I want to now become ambassador, not only for my country, but for a very large organization, national and international organization with 27 world leaders in it. I said, this is what I want to do. I want to bring he knows what I do. He's very close to the foundation. I said to him, I want to bring the coins in we give support. And I want to meet ambassadors. He says, no, you don't need to meet ambassadors. I'll arrange for you to see the world leaders. That's where the change comes. They make a decision. And out of nowhere, he says, we know you've been working a long time on this. Now it's time for it. And don't talk. I don't arrange you to see the ambassadors where you are, but you meet the world leaders. You explain to them how you give the Keshe Foundation coins, how you give market shares, and then we'll set up a structure through government. We have started, as I said, a lot of groundwork has been done, and we're just getting to the what we call platform on the level. Now it's time to build on it, and we're receiving helps in all sorts of directions. And it's coming in every way possible. But this is part of what we are trying to encourage you to. You worked a lot around the foundation, selling a little bit here and there. If you developed a product for yourself, join us. Outside China, join Market Corporation of the United States as partnership. You can take shares as or equal and increase connection and the whole portfolio. Your 20 items, 30 items become 2, 3, 5,000, which whatever knowledge skills makes across the world and becomes part of us. Carry our logo will become part of you. We are ready, the structure is set. And if you have invested and developed, we like you to be part of the structure of the research, and we develop it with you further. We don't want you to move out of your country. We don't want you to change anything. And as I said to a knowledge seeker earlier on, I don't want you to move from home. I set up a research center in your home. You don't need to move. It's no use us, as I always said, trying to make life better for humanity, but those who make the life better have to move themselves away from their home. And the structure has started. And I thank many of the knowledge seekers who supported this to happen in the background and getting shape and taking shape, and now is actually there. Those of you who bought this communication unit, we received the first 25 past couple of days. Our team is setting it up in what we call ready to go. They go through the first phase of completion of the first phase, and then we take them to another position for connection direction. And then hopefully before end of this month, the first 25 will arrive at your doorstep. Please stay and follow the procedure, because we don't want any problems in connection or whatever. And half of you will receive what you paid, and some of you will receive the donations units, because some of the countries in Africa, in South America, and other part of the world, people cannot afford paying for these units, and we received the donation. But we want to extend this network across the world. And so from hopefully end of this month, the first 25 will be dispatched, and then into a new year we first do our, what we call the physical side. Then somewhere in early next year, you start receiving a package which you have to just connect to these units to connect as part of the what we call direct connections into the system. And then we work through this, as we said before. We still need massive amount of donations. This is not resolved. This is not finished. We received a very generous donation, which allows one part of our research to go where we wanted it, and I thank the soul which supported us heavily. And we have received support from knowledge seekers who are bringing their companies, putting it on the table, says the technology you brought, it has to be shared. We want to be part of it. We're getting those as well. And now it's gradually taking shape, and it allows us for the first time, as I said, through market cooperation to deal through cash coins and cosmic ray bundles, and bringing a balance that we support, we guarantee, and we deliver. If there are any questions, let me know and I'll try to answer.
Mr. Keshe, you mentioned Mark Ray quite a bit there, and we have several questions about buying shares on of Mark Ray, and from Ione as an example. Good morning, Mr. Keshe. I would like to buy some Mark Ray Corporation shares on the NASDAQ market, but the broker from Bucharest cannot add RVBR to the online list so that I can buy or sell shares online. How can I buy it anyway? Do you have a broker that does this? Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
And
there are brokers who do that. There are many. You got to understand, Mark Ray had a problem for a long time, and we solved this problem, but it hasn't gone all the way through. There's a big problem in the background, which is not of the doing of anyone, but when John was the CEO, this was not, I was not aware of it. And now that I became a CEO, I became aware of it, and it's taking longer than we thought to sort out this part. And it's gonna cost us a lot of money to sort it out. And we're just trying to find out through the legal team, through the accountants, how this situation. I've spoken to different lawyers and accountants and Mark Ray and OTC and what do you call it, everywhere possible, and we have found the what do you call, to solve the problem. We have found a way. We see a way through it, and this will take another 3 to 6 months. But due to the sanctions on Russia in past 2 years, or since whatever it started, the Ukrainian war, the Mark Ray had a shareholder, Russian shareholder, which, because of the amount of share, we don't know who she is. Nobody knows who she is. We don't know if it's even real. We have to go through courts, and it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to get this sorted. So we decided we're going to leave it. But we found a solution around it a few months ago. Because of this share, Mark Ray moved into a blacklist. And a lot of banks and brokers don't touch it. We sold some of our, if you look at the reports of the Keshe Foundation in the past 12 months, you see what I'm telling you, if you understand how to read it. To move this Russian ownership percentage below 5%, because it was affecting, creating a blacklist or blockage, we sold some of our Class B shares and we transferred it into the common shares. That the common shares moved out of or pushed this 5% below 5%, and some of the companies have taken this up. Now we have a second problem, which now we're trying to sort out, is we have done a lot of consulting, what we call the trade, what we call the organizers, the people in the background. Now we're trying to solve this problem, that you get RVVR accepted by all the traders. At the moment, some of them, they still see the Russian. You have to tell them to redo. You will see some going back on, there's something needs to be sorted. This is getting sorted. So maybe next 3 months, 6 months, whatever, maybe sooner or later, we get this moved out of the problem which was created. I mean, bless his soul, John should have told us, but as usual, he had to do everything himself and brought us into this lock. And it'll take us another few months, 2 or 3 months, we open this lock, which is to do with a lot of things in the company. And most of the traders will go back on it. You just have to find those who have moved the Russian trading out of their book. And otherwise, if you go, Rick, if you can go on the website of the Mark Ray, you will see that we have moved out of the bottom line of the what you call OTC into a bigger, the most highest level, because we had to do certain things which wasn't done, and it took me months to do it. I spent so much time and money on it to get it done. It has to be moved, and then you have to understand when you go on the market, is you see those green lights. It's got the green tick, and then this is all has taken a lot of time. If you go on the OTC, not on market, go on the OTC website, you see it on there that the agents confirmed, documents confirmed, accounts are confirmed. We are submitting every quarterly accounts which wasn't done properly for nearly 2-3 years. We have brought all that in line, and all this costs tons of money. We say hello to a lawyer is $500.
Mm-hmm.
This is, they look, you're a stock market company, you can afford it. Market doesn't have these finances, and it's all supported by us in the background. And when you go to it, you say the agent is confirmed, everything else is confirmed. We disclose continuously, and because what we do here, if you remember, mark ratios used to be 0.06, 0.05. It has moved up 10 times compared to what it was a year and a half ago. And we have to make now move another step, which needs to be done by OTC and us, to go to SSC, what they call submitting documents. It takes 3 to 6 months for them to approve it. Then Keshe Foundation, all the shares become confirmed, and the whole structure changes. That will cost the foundation, just to move that into that situation, is going to cost us around $400,000 to $800,000.
I remember seeing a list of companies. They changed the rules about 2 or 3 years ago, apparently, and all of a sudden, a lot of these OTC companies got put on a kind of a banned list because of not putting in the correct paperwork, basically, more than anything else. It wasn't
We
that
were on
they
that
did anything
list.
bad. It's just that they omitted certain paperwork or didn't do it timely enough or something. But they changed the actual rules, and then suddenly it wasn't available. There's people that say from the US it can be difficult. I know from Canada it's difficult, but certain banks, I think it's CIBC, will allow it, but yet TD doesn't, and so on and so forth. So it's a bit of a battle, I understand.
It is part of, people don't usually see it, but because market is owned by Keshe Foundation, we explain the problems publicly because you are the shareholders. At the end of it, all the market share sits with Keshe Foundation. And this structure we had to sort out, and it's taken a lot. If you go back on disclosures of the market, if you go up and you go on disclosures, you see everything is up to date. If you see the disclosure, you press every quarter, every month, everything has been brought to the management.
Oh yes, look at that. See, you can see all the dates there from, well, the last year or so.
Yeah,
and there's
every
more.
time, every one of these lines you see costs $10,000-$20,000. It's done by accountants.
Yeah, we see reports going back, well, last few years, basically, yes.
We had to update, we had to go back to 2021 and update every quarter, submit the annual reports, then get the approval and the rest of it. It's taken us a year now to bring this into everything into order. And if you look, one of the requirements, if you go right to the top, right on the top side, if you look at one of the top lines, we had to do management certification. This management certification was something, if you look, was never done before, and that's one of the steps to move Markrate to the next level. It was done last month, I think. So it needs a lot of things we are doing, and then you have the quarterly accounts, everything else which goes with it. So it's you call it market, you bought shares, and if you look, you bought shares at 0.06 a year ago. Now shares are between 0.5, 0.7, because moved up 10 times. And then it's our job to bring it in, as I said, by the end of next year, in conjunction with what we are bringing and what we explained earlier. As your companies become part of the market and part of the structure of the Keshe, what we call international, and then backed by coin, we see it increase gradually, solidly. And if you go to one of the, what we call last week or 2 weeks ago, if you go on the market, on the news, where we announced the production of the material, there has risen a huge investigation by the Pentagon on Keshe Foundation. This news that we put out with the pictures in Markrate has risen a lot of investigation by American government, that how this company has announced production of the gold and these things in an American stock market, and all the pictures are mainly Chinese. And there's a lot of it is going at the moment with the Keshe Foundation step by step. If you create too much, what do you call it, mud, it can create problems. And this takes time. All this takes time. And setting up the structure in China takes time. So setting up, bringing other parts into order, it all takes time. And huge amount of effort. It took us a year and a half to move out of the bottom line of the OTC. Now we have to sort out the company. And then, as many of you join us, as I announced, that you bring your companies to be owned by Markrate, and you get all the privileges of becoming part of the Markrate and the Keshe Foundation China work, then you see your success reflects back in you, in the shares of the Markrate and the rest of it. And then once we start, as I said, talking to the government, giving shares of Markrate to governments, to the nations and governments, then you see a different structure, and then the rest of it. It takes another 3 years, 5 years to be done. Our target is to bring the shares to $1,000 per share. One coin, one cosmic ray, one Markrate share, all the same value, doesn't matter where you go.
Mr. Cashman, Ike mentions in the webinar chat that the website for Markray is still hyperlinked to a natural water solution website. So we might want to check on that to make sure the hyperlink to it.
The hyperlink has to be there because of the reasons we are aware of it. This is because it's connected to KFGL, which is in the background global, Keshe Foundation Global. These are the things which are we cannot change at the moment. It's a lot of work to be done, but we know that it doesn't matter very hyper, so it's just where it is at the moment you come into it, and that's what it counts. Because it used to be water solution. Mark, what do you call it? John didn't want to change the name. He said we stay to this, and then it took me negotiation with OTC to, even if you look at the what do you call it? If you go to that bottom code, I think it's 9271 or whatever of the Markray, we had to negotiate to get that back. To be, we are, if you read, it says the classification, it says space technology. And I think if I'm correct, there are 27 companies in America who carry this number. And we are one of them. If you go on
notice when I clicked on the website for Markray in this particular OTC, it says forbidden. It doesn't go through at this address, although I thought it should. No, it's like my HTTPS will go through instead of www. Let's try TPS and :/.
Some people can go through, some of the OTC agents go directly in.
See, I just go markray.corporation.com and it starts to go through. And
I'll get that to be checked on the OTC page. It depends which country you're in as well. Some countries, they block at source. It's like Belgians cannot go into any Keshe Foundation websites because they decide what is blocked and who blocks it in which country. Anyway, we're there. Any other question?
Okay, thank you. Let's see here. I've got a couple of screens I need to bring under control here. Okay, now, again, I'll remind our attendees you can put your virtual hands up and have an opportunity to ask a direct question here. We do have a number of questions in the Q&A. And perhaps before we get into the actual questions, I can read some of the reactions to the first part of the program. If you don't mind, Mr. Keshe.
Carry on, carry on.
Well, we start off with EduFlight 006. My whole body became very hot since today's session began, especially the upper part. Is this phenomenon supposed to be happening? And before you answer that, there's several others. Monica says, hello, everyone. From the beginning of the session, I first felt a recurring pain in my right ovary, which turned into a throbbing sensation. Then I felt a surge of peace and quiet within, somehow moving into my chest and head. My pelvis and abdomen felt as if they were collapsing. I felt a tingling in my forehead and an energy in my chest. Various thoughts came to me, connecting to things from the past that I suddenly began to understand. Randy says, I've been hearing that dog whistle since yesterday. Stefania says, well, that's a different thing. Monica says, I felt balanced, and at the same time, I had a pressure in the area around my sternum and forehead. I feel as if the energy within me is being drawn back from my head and re-entering from my pelvis and physical reactor. And Karina mentions no time for fear when unconditional love takes over, feeling the beauty of you all collectively as one. Back to Monica, who says, now again, the feeling of the stomach sinking and slight anxiety for a few seconds. Stefania adds, in the first part, I felt very emotional feeling of gratitude. Some drops came out of my eyes, first right and then left eye. I felt very emotional. I had feeling of opening, and I felt a feeling of full letting go. I also had that feeling of opening, a feeling in the solar plexus area. Monica says, and now I feel all the energy fueling my physical reactor. However, emotionally, I feel less comfortable, less calm, and less safe. Randy mentions, now in this session, the dog whistle intensity has increased, and the body temperature has also risen quite a few degrees. Karina mentions that Happy Bird feels it too, splashing in a small bowl of cup 1 water, proves connection to other created beings. Keep observing and rejoicing. Every happy change makes me happy.
A lot of you are handling this.
Just end with Mariners, who says, I felt some sublime ideas on the creator. Very something and sweet.
This, as I said, this setup is set for physical conversion when it comes from the soul. And the graphs we see confirms it. In a way, I try to share this with you. It's easier to send it to you to Rick than me resetting everything up to start with. If you look at this picture, check your, where do I find break? Always hiding somewhere. Just let me find break. Okay. If you look at this, this is a picture in past few minutes from, in a way, all of you. We've seen many, many of these pictures in the past from us. If you look at it, there hardly any is directly from the soul and physicality, and see how heavily the physical part is. Anything below the central line is physical, both on the energy and on the physicality manifestation. And if you look at this picture, it's this is the line of physicality, and if you look at it, there we are. It's so heavy, very little coming down, which is a lot of you can do the transmutation and manifest yourself, and you can feel those conditions inside you. This is one of the part of this test is for the psychosomatic, what we can send from the soul and manifest itself in physicality, which means you all can manifest yourself. And you see it very clearly in this structure, how easily you all sitting in the physical condition, with the soul of physicality and your physical manifestation. Okay, you can change it if there's any questions, any other question.
Okay. Okay, back to our questions in the Q&A here. We still don't have any hands up, but I'm sure someone will pop in. Okay, so Hong has a question in the Q&A. What is the function or purpose of the existence of the soul of the physicality? In the universe, are there beings whose life is composed only of an individual soul and the physical body, with no soul of the physicality in between?
Impossible. It's impossibilities. You know that
he goes on, when an individual soul interacts with the environmental field, does it necessarily create a soul of the physicality at all?
What?
When the soul interacts with the environment, the environmental field, does it create that? Does it necessarily create a soul of physicality?
Yeah, because he has to show its boundary. If you look at a solar system like ours, it's the replication of the man. The energy sits in the center. We call it the sun. And then the rest of us are the same thing. I explained this years ago, and maybe repeat again. In the body of the man, you have the soul, and the energy is created to confirm the existence of that soul. The shape of the soul, the shape of the field strength of the soul, decide if you're a dog, a cat, or whatever. What you consume decide what kind you're going to be. In the body of man, when you have the soul in center and you got the fields which creates that central energy for itself to confirm the existence, because the little ones are still running. Your little cells, they still have their own energy, otherwise they wouldn't be there. And your soul is what they leave out, which goes in there and it becomes I'm here and the other one and the rest of it. So you need the soul of physicality. But soul of physicality with the soul gives the dimension of how much a space cannot take for the others to exist. So in a way it dictates you need a liver, you need a kidney, you need somewhere to collect the rubbish, somewhere you store. Look at this solar system. We have the same. Our rubbish bin collecting at the end are Jupiter and Saturn. What does Earth does? Earth is part of the reproduction cycle, creates life. There's no difference just because we see planets moving around. Look at their functions. What do they do in this structure called soul? Because our sun has a boundary. They say aircraft we sent out 50 years ago has just gone through it. So we pass through the skin of the solar system. But that skin is dictated by other forces. That's your limit. You can't go any further. This is what we give you. So our solar system, even though we think it's the center of everything for us, is another living things on a physical dimension. Even though it's shining, we see it as a sun, as a plasma, in its environment has a physicality. And then this fields which creates, which gives it this dimension of physicality, has to have a place to be there, which controls the center of the universe or central galaxy. It's not just that we are here, our solar system. in a way, if you, as I said before, what's the purpose of our galaxy in the universe? Are we part of the digestion system? Are we part of the cleaning up system? We are supposed to be on the edges of our galaxies. That's why we have life in this condition. Are we the urinary system of the field of the galaxy? And then our galaxy in the universe, which part we haven't got the knowledge. We haven't got this knowledge. We haven't, because we just start, what do you call it, even getting to the moon is too much. We haven't understood the structure of the creation. For sure, for sure. The way the Jupiter and Saturn at the end collect all the leftovers, what comes from the sun and doesn't need, and then doesn't need to go out because it has to come. One plays part of the urinary system, or one part plays the liver because I'm collecting storage, whatever is not needed, giving to me. And then when you look at our galaxy and the position of our solar system in this galaxy, we are not far from Saturn and Jupiter. We are part of the structure which is on the edge, holding the energies of the central point in here that it doesn't leak out. Or we decide, or the galaxy decides what to leak out. And once we understand the reality of our creation and our position, then we can do a lot of things. We can find the fields to travel. We can find the strength we need to move. The structure keeps on repeating itself. But we are blind to it because we are too centered in us being the king of the jungle, and then we call ourselves the center of the universe, and then we call ourselves every other thing which goes with it. This is the job of us as universal teachers. To bring the knowledge that is understood and embraced and become part of. Don't bring your knowledge to force it with the sword. That's what it should be. We never gave you certificates when it came to Keshe Foundation education system. Because I always said, you hear something, you can't use it just if I ask a question, but in 10 years time, 10 years time, down the line, it becomes a use. And that's where you pass your exam. Not on sitting on a piece of paper. What we teach you, which enlightens your soul, you die. You're gone 100 years, 200 years, 1,000 years of space-time, but the soul had the knowledge. It comes to a point, this is what I have to do. This was what the knowledge came as energy, or whatever it was, 100, 1,000 years ago by Keshe. We are not here to change man. We are here to change much more than man. They're here to change the soul of the man in the space, I've said many times, to stop the killing, the destruction. One of the biggest problems, I said, now with the American government is Keshe Foundation has put production of gold, and it shows Chinese. They checked, we know from inside, they checked the faces of the officers. They are high-ranking officers. We put that deliberately into marquee pictures. We're not joking, we're not playing games. And with what opportunity now we are given to be able to produce gold in mass, they'll go through the window. Where is the next greed? The man wants to go to Bitcoin. We covered it. That's why you're getting the coins, cash coins. Enough that there is no shortage, that nobody can play games. Then this is how it should be. You have to understand the way you look at the sun, and you see it in the sunrise, you see it at the top when the full of the day and you see it in the evening. If you chase the sun across this planet, you can always have the full lunchtime, full strength. And this is what your soul does. When a man carries the body of the man to sleep or wakes up. Because the thickness of the planet Earth does not stop the soul of the man to see the sun on the other side, because he sees the fields of it. It doesn't see the obstruction of the fields of the Earth blocking it. Otherwise, man will be blind to the other galaxies and everything else. But it's not. You receive the knowledge, you gain the knowledge. Blindness is the attribute of man in his creation. We blind ourselves not to see, ignore our rights. We blind ourselves, we allow other ones to abuse us. We blind ourselves for governments to do whatever they like with us, because they fight with guns, they fight with bullets, they fight with aircrafts. I give love through the soul of the man. Melts the gun. You watch how much they're pushing for wars. How much pushing for wars. How much Israel pushed to get America to bomb Iran. Many of you saw it. Oh, the Americans bombed Iran. Do you know why the Americans bombed Iran? The Israelis said, if you don't do it, we're going to do a nuke it. Trump thought, it's such a stupid guy going and doing something I cannot return. I pretend I do. Why none of the past presidents ever did that? Because this idiot put the pressure and did it. It stops the war. A bigger scale war. We look at things in different ways and we see what we influence in it and what needs to be corrected, what needs to be done.
Mr. Keshe, we had an interesting coincidence in the last One Planet, One Nation, One Race for Justice and World Peace, where the Universal Council members were reading the World Peace Treaty and discussing about each line of the treaty and so on for a few minutes. And it turns out during that exact time period, and within literally minutes or seconds, there was an announcement on CNN, one of the largest TV networks, mainstream networks, about the new peace agreement between Ukraine and Russia and US and so on. And whether it works out or not is another thing. But this is the first major, peace announcement that they've made in the last couple of years or so. So it was just an amazing, wonderful coincidence that at the exact time we were looking at the peace treaty on the screen and talking about it, there was this publicized agreement. And sometimes the universe does come through, it seems.
Yeah, this is another. I think today they had to give the answer to him. You got to understand, we have the Ukrainian president who knows he's going to go to prison. He knows one of the conditions of these 28 points is that within 100 days from signing the peace, a country which was supposed to have election 2 or 3 years ago has to re-elect a new president. But would anybody re-elect him? And the amount of the scandals, the amount of money he has siphoned, would he has already asked 29 countries to give him refuge. Then to save his life, he has to push for a war. But on the other hand, there's not much left to war because the Europeans are in a big mess. Factories after factories are closing. One of the biggest advantages of this Ukrainian war wasn't annexation of Ukraine, was the end of power of United States and European countries. That was one of the best, what you call, main outcomes of it. The old system that they decided they start revolution anywhere, they kill whoever they don't like them, they take everything is gone. They brought sanctions on Russia to bend it, and Russia turned the sanctions back on his head, and now not only ruble is stronger, the connection selling only to European gas is gone, the whole of Central Asia, the economy of the Russia has become so strong and solid because all the time wasting is gone. Okay, a lot of livelihoods lost, but we have seen the end of colonization and the end of past 70, 80 years, governments in Europe and America deciding which government stays and who goes or whatever. Now, the new, what I call, group is creating condition that they have to decide who wants to be or not to be. We are very close to a very big war. If something goes wrong, somebody just misplays, we are on the verge of big clash. Everybody will jump on each other, but everybody's holding back. A lot of people, a lot of things are happening. Now is every possible way things are changing to avoid the war. But there's a lot of barking going on. The rules, 2 years ago to now, the rules have changed. Americans have lost their power. Europeans are on their knees economically because of the stupid thing they did. They cut the gas pipeline. Sanctions are closing. The factory is gone. Unemployment is high. And then on top of it, they got the sanctions on raw material from China. It's readjustment. But the end up, America decides and the Europeans decide is gone. France is running €5 million an hour deficit because they can't rob the gold from Africa and becoming theirs. It's the same thing with Germany now. It's the same thing right across Europe. And Americans are in a bigger heap of it themselves, what they created for themselves.
Mr. Keshe, we had a question regarding how, from Anonymous, how can satellite souls, what role can they play in this transition phase, and what's the future look like for these souls?
Those of you who are satellite souls, we are just near enough to know what you're about to do. Just let us finish our system, what we are doing. I'll explain to you why and how. You will understand.
There was a question, can the satellite souls be the healer of humanity's emotional pain?
You call yourself, you know what satellite means. The physicality is you, but the soul which put you front is different. He knows his strength, he knows what's good to do.
Okay. We have a hand up with Antonio, who also mentions in the Q&A that Wilson Davis and Company deals in Markray shares at the moment. Antonio, would you like to go ahead, please?
Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Good morning, Rick. Can you hear me okay?
Yep,
yes.
No problem. No. How is the harvest going? Or have you finished?
No. I'm very busy for the next 3 months, at least 4 months. Yeah, it's a bit of at my age, it gets very exhausting. I just go a bit slower.
I know it happens. You know what you got to do, huh?
I was looking at the Twinity thing for what was that one? You got one for energy or something. So I was looking at that. I might have to get some of that to give me a bit more stamina.
Yeah, it comes with the age.
It was something interesting, Mr. Keshe, in relate the experiments with animals and in particular dogs, where the owner goes away from home, and and when the owner decides to return, the dog knows exactly when he's decided to return. So they did a bit of an experiment, and they even changed vehicles. Instead of the dog, he could hear his owner's car, he would come back in a taxi, or and the dog always seemed to know when the owner had decided to return home. The dog would be ready to greet his owner. And so it got me thinking, well, the connection with the soul, we must have that as well. But the dogs certainly have proven that this connection of knowing when their
We all
owner.
have it. We all have it. It's
Yeah.
just that how we strengthen it. It comes on everyday basis. We have it, but we've been trained to ignore it or call it all accidentally. We all have it, and we all do it. When, for example, I was to explain this to a knowledge seeker very recently. When I wish something which is the need of the foundation, somehow it appears. I know. Whenever it is, when we are needing something which is there, needs to be done, somehow it gets done, it's done. But when you say about the dogs, children do. A lot of babies who even become toddlers have this sense when daddy comes home or when mom is coming back. They look, they know it's time. They can't talk, they're on their belly, but they know it's the time for it. And they know, they watch the door.
Yeah.
I know that. I've had that firsthand. My first son knew exactly what time was 4 o'clock. I don't know how. We couldn't find out how, but my wife used to say, he turns to the door and he doesn't move.
Yeah. Yeah.
He knew. He knew it was 4 o'clock. It's time that he come home. With something is in all of us. It's just that we have to, it has to, we feel something, it's just don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you had this feeling, you want to eat something, says, oh no, I better don't. And you say, I eat, let's see what happens. But something in the back of you says, don't put it in your mouth, don't do this. But what I call man's taste of testing, overcome it. It happened to me a few days ago. Something in my head said, don't touch this. But I wanted to touch, yes, I want to see what it does. But in my back of my head, it was something like pulling my hand back. And it turned out to be something wrong. We all have it, it's just have to rely on it.
Yeah. It was interesting that you couldn't trick the animal to, to recognize, say, the vehicle or changing the vehicles or whatever. The animal, as soon as the owner decided to come home, the dog was ready. He would be at the door.
We are doing the same. We are
Mm.
humans the same, but we ignore it.
Yeah.
I've seen it many, many times.
Yeah. That's all I wanted to share today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a matter of trust, what we trust in ourselves than anything else. Any other question? Or shall we call it a day?
Well, I'd like to ask a question from Paulo here because he's brought it over at least once, maybe twice from before. We didn't have time. It's about, he would like to ask about the truths contained in the Dead Sea Scrolls, whether they deserve your and consequently our attention. He's got 3 questions that are part of that.
Don't look at these things. I'm the wrong person to ask these questions from.
Okay, so like the first question might be, at a certain time, God will build a temple. It will be built under God's leadership, not man's. Has this temple already been built? Is that kind of thing you'd rather
ask the writer if he shows? I don't know who wrote it.
Okay.
This is something which I get a lot of questions like this from people. What do you think is? Go and ask the writer.
Well, what about this, the third one, which he says, the manuscripts say that 2 messiahs and 1 prophet will arise. One will arise from the royal line, and the other will be a priestly messiah arising from among common people. Are you a common person? Are you from royal lineage, such as the Achaeans?
Read the sentence from the beginning.
The manuscripts say that 2 messiahs and 1 prophet will arise.
Just wait. We are not a messiah and we are not a prophet. So it doesn't apply to me. Go to the next one.
Okay.
There is in the, if you
What would you say that you are then? A teacher? You did say you are the
we are
Messiah
teachers
at one
because
point.
we
You
are
said
Messiah
we're
of
all
our own
Messiahs too.
souls. Yeah, we always say every one of us is a Messiah of our own soul.
Yeah, you're
It's
very quick to qualify that.
Yeah, we are the one. Now we know our position. We are responsible for it. We create our own suffering because we are aware of it. I always say, and it's something I always do, even done with my children. Never humiliate. Who are you to humiliate? But we don't need to accept the pain. It's us who creates that condition. And so we are the Messiah of ourselves. Yes, I am a Messiah, but for myself. One of our knowledge seekers went through roasting because of this with the Iranian government. They called him in and they said, he says he's a Mahdi, he's a Messiah. He said, no, he says he's a Mahdi of his own. Very hot because the Iranians are waiting for the Messiah, but they can't find it. And I know exactly what it is. One of our knowledge seekers with Vatican has the same kind of problems. They're looking, or they think they know, time is there for it, but I'm the wrong shadow. You have to look for the daughter of Mitra in time to come. And even that, she's not a prophet. She's just what you call the light in the darkness for the man to find his path. But if you read this two to come and then the prophet, this is in Quran. They are waiting for 2. One to come to announce the coming of the second, and then if you look at the Baha'i faith, they say, oh, the first one came was Bab, and then it said the second one was Baha'u'llah, and they tune into the Islamic pattern. And then you have the same in Christianity in different way, and the same one written years ago, they heard, they copied, and it come out different situation and verses. Don't believe none of the holy books in the way they are written. the way the Bible is written is the copy of collection of what we call mitzvahs, tuned and accepted because they built the church in the houses and everybody believes it. Now it's become the norm. Never accept what's it with the way they explain Mecca, Medina, and the rest of it. Jews have rewritten too many books to benefit themselves. And so you read the Sadiq two prophet, two people, and then the prophet go look into Quran. Exactly the same. And then to justify the look at the Baha'i faith and see what they call the first one Bab and the next one Baha'u'llah, 19 years difference. This is what Quran says, so we are there. Go back into Judaism and see what they're looking for in 2025. The Messiah is Netanyahu. Use your own wisdom. Shall we call it a day?
Sure, yes.
Thank you very much for today. We'll see you next week. And hopefully we have some more fun with the knowledge of creation. Thank you very much for being with us. And I still repeat, we need huge amount of support with this units, as there have to be 10,000 of them around the world. And don't tell me you can make gold, can you? We don't go in that process. Our job is not there. We even ask knowledge kids to help us with gold, because if we make the gold we make, will bring wars on man's life. One day I explain why. But we develop it, that it brings peace to man. And it has to be done through the man. If it's done through us, it becomes magic. When it's done with man being in it, supporting it, developing it, being part of it. Thank you very much for today. And please support us to do what we have to do to complete this journey. Thank you very much, and see you next time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you. All right, well, that wraps up our 618th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, November 27th, 2025. I'll just get out my calendar to figure out the next public teaching workshop. Thank you, everybody, for attending today's program. Our next public teaching will be December 2nd with the One Planet, One Nation, One Race for Justice and World Peace, and with members and support members of the Universal Council. That program starts at the 4 p.m. Central European Time and open to members of the public who would like to attend. And also, I'd like to mention there will be a special program coming up December 6th to celebrate the birthday of Mithra's daughter on December 6th, Saturday. And that will be at the 2 p.m. Central European Time. So you can join the Universal Council members and other folks who are having a special program on that date. All right. Well, again, thank you, everybody, for attending today's program. And we'll go out with the Flight Enhancement Spaceship unit as per usual. And bye for now, and have a wonderful day wherever you are.